Hey everyone, welcome to episode number 801 of NoDQ&A video right here on NoDQ.com, as well as the YouTube channel and NoDQ&A videos affiliate, ringsidenews.com. Got more of your questions today as we are now just 1 week away from WWE Extreme Rules. NoDQ.com has got you covered, of course. Let's get down to your questions. First one today comes from Wrestling Guy 18. Hey Aaron, can you see a match at Summerslam for control of Raw going down, with Steph's competitor being Triple H and Shane's being Seth Rollins? That seems like a very possible match for SummerSlam. As I've mentioned in previous videos, I'm expecting Shane and Stephanie to eventually have the falling out, which will lead to some sort of conflict, whether there's a brand extension or an invasion, or just a match for control of the company. I'm expecting something to happen, and there's been talk about doing Seth Rollins and Triple H for a while now. That was originally supposed to happen at WrestleMania before Seth Rollins got hurt. And there's still the whole matter of Seth Rollins using Triple H's finisher, the pedigree. I could very well see that match happening, Triple H versus Seth Rollins. If Triple H wins, Stephanie gets full control. If Shane wins, he gets full control. Would not surprise me at all to see that match happen at SummerSlam. But we'll still have to wait and see how this storyline plays out. They could go in any number of directions. I'm just hoping it's one that will really get people interested in the WWE product and really shake things up as we get into the summer and the fall. Alright, this one comes from Doubts Boulderfist. How about AJ Styles versus John Cena at SummerSlam this year? TNA's biggest star against WWE's biggest star. Your thoughts? Hashtag dream match. Well, the problem with that is WWE's not going to acknowledge TNA, so really it would be one of New Japan's biggest stars against WWE's biggest star if WWE was to build it up that way. I'm thinking at some point we will see John Cena versus AJ Styles. I would be shocked if that match doesn't happen at least once. Now, will it happen at SummerSlam? I think it's more likely Cena goes against Roman Reigns at SummerSlam, but you never know. If AJ Styles continues to run really well in WWE, maybe we'll get that match at SummerSlam. The problem with it is that it'll feel too much like what we've seen many times in the past, John Cena against the internet favorite. And to me, it's just getting old seeing the same match over and over again. We saw it with CM Punk, then we saw it with Daniel Bryan, and then we saw it with Sami Zayn and a bunch of other guys during the US title challenges. I feel it's played out, John Cena against an internet darling. I'd rather they did something different with John Cena. Put Cena against the guy that everyone hates and see how the fans react to that one, rather than just do the predictable Cena versus the internet favorite where we know Cena's going to get booed and the internet favorite's going to get cheered. I would just like to see something different, honestly. Alright, this one comes from Thomas Vargas. Do you think WWE will bring back Damien Sandow, and if they do, will he be the next Daniel Bryan to get over with the fans? We all know the saying, never say never. It depends. I think that if the crowds really started to become very vocal and chanted "We want Sandow" on every single WWE television show, maybe they would reconsider and bring him back, but I'm sensing that's probably not going to happen. Maybe in Newark, New Jersey for Extreme Rules, maybe that crowd will chant for Sandow, but I'm sensing it's not something that's going to really catch on like a Daniel Bryan chant or a CM Punk chant. I think that it's unlikely Damien Sandow comes back. He does have a strong cult following, but I'm not sure if it's big enough to really get WWE's attention. Time will tell. I'm not expecting it to happen, though. But, like I said, anything's possible. And it really just depends on how loud and vocal the fans are and for how long. I mean, at some point, if the fans continued to be vocal, WWE would have to pay attention to it and think, well, maybe we made a mistake getting rid of this guy and there's money to be made with him. We just weren't using him properly. All right, this one comes from B Money. What were the plans for the Triple H NWO angle in 2002 before Kevin Nash tore his quad muscle and the angle got dropped? This one's interesting because if Kevin Nash had not gotten injured, the whole face of WWE could have been very different during that mid-2000s period, 2003, 2004, 2005. I believe that Triple H was going to turn on the NWO and go babyface and probably have a Summerslam match against Kevin Nash. That is what I believe was the original plan before Nash got hurt. And of course, if that had been the plan, we wouldn't have seen Triple H go heel and win the world title and have his run of terror. Things could have been very different in WWE. The whole landscape could have been different if Kevin Nash had not gotten injured. So that is definitely one of those interesting what-if questions. Alright, this one comes from Stefan. Why does WWE always have the need to have the guy on the roster instead of pushing the guy the crowd loves and that will get them money? It's Vince McMahon's old mentality of having a top superstar who's a babyface, who's the flagship of the company, who does all the media appearances and does the Make-A-Wishes and is basically the spokesperson for the company. That is how Vince has been doing things for decades. And even his father, Vince Sr. We had Bruno Sammartino and then Bob Backlund. And then when Vince Jr. took over, it was Hulk Hogan and then the Ultimate Warrior. And then Bret Hart, Shawn Michaels, Steve Austin, The Rock, John Cena, and now Roman Reigns. This is what they have been doing since the WWF first got started. That has been the tradition, to have a top babyface who represents the company. And as long as Vince is alive, things are unlikely to change that way. I've said it before. I feel WWE Business would do just as well with or without Roman Reigns as the face of the company. I think you could have AJ Styles as the face of the company and WWE Business would do just fine. I think people watch WWE for the brand. They're not watching to see a specific person. It's the WWE brand that draws, and really you could have anybody on top. But that's also WWE's argument why they're going to have Roman Reigns as champion despite the fans being angry, because they're all going to keep watching and WWE Business will continue to flourish one way or another. So if they're going to do things, they're going to do things Vince's way, the way that he's been doing for decades. Alright, this one comes from TJ, Baller with Shades. What would you say was Wade Barrett's best match in WWE? This one's a little bit hard to answer, and maybe that's a reason why Wade Barrett was never one of the top guys in WWE, although I would say that he was not given enough opportunities. I think probably his best match was the SummerSlam match, and that wasn't a one-on-one match. That was Team Cena versus Team Nexus in Los Angeles. That was really the peak of his career and when Nexus was at its hottest. I would likely say that match, maybe the Survivor Series match with Randy Orton, but that match really didn't do Barrett any favors. Neither did the SummerSlam match. So it's a tough one to say what was the best Wade Barrett match. Maybe the Elimination Chamber in 2011 that he was in. Maybe one of the Money in the Bank matches that he was in. But just going on a one-on-one match, that is a really tough one. I'm not sure I could make a pick for a Wade Barrett one-on-one match. Maybe some of you out there have better memories than I do. Name a Wade Barrett match that you thought was really good that was a one-on-one match. Just leave it in the comments and we'll see what people say. Alright, this one comes from Igor. With No Way Jose being a fan magnet with his theme song and that, do you think he will get a push even to be the next NXT champion? Exhibit A, Adam Rose. Exhibit B, Emma. Just because somebody gets a big reaction at Full Sail University, did I just call it Fail Sail University? Anything but a fail. I mean, NXT is awesome. I think that it's more of a novelty act, and it's not something that's going to catch on with the mainstream audience. Now, I could be wrong. I mean, I had mixed feelings about Enzo and Cass, that they would be successful on the main roster, and they're doing great. But I just sense that No Way Jose is a novelty act. and it's all about that music, which I think is extremely annoying, by the way. So I'm not on board with it right now. I'm not sure I'll ever be on board with it. With Adam Rose, I was kind of entertained by it for a while, but it got old fast. And then with Emma, I never liked her music. I never liked the whole dance thing she did. I know people in Full Sail University did it. I thought it was really dumb, and they changed up her gimmick. I like what she's doing now a lot better. So with No Way Jose, I don't know. I don't think so, but I could be wrong. All right, this one comes from Andrew McManus. Do you think it's financially viable for WWE to have at least one pay-per-view in a different country every year? I think if WWE could make a lot of money from that, they would have done it already. They don't really do pay-per-views anymore. They used to have the one-night-only pay-per-views in the UK, and they would do Insurrection and Rebellion and a couple of other ones, but I think they like the business model that they're doing. They like just going to the UK twice a year and doing Raw and SmackDown and a bunch of house shows. That's the formula that works for them, and we should know by now, with all this stuff I've talked about, that WWE doesn't like to really experiment too much and go outside of their comfort zone. They like to do what has been working for them for several years, and they're going to keep doing that until it's no longer working. All right, this one comes from Ben Jarman. What is the worst and best wrestling event that you have ever attended live? Worst one would have to be one of the house shows I went to. I assume you're talking about WWE. You did say wrestling, so maybe it's all across the board. I mean, the worst wrestling event, period, from any promotion, for me would have to be Wrestling Society X. I just went there and I wasn't a fan of the atmosphere. I mean, it was all a bunch of plants, a bunch of models that were there to stand around, not wrestling fans. And I just felt like it wasn't something that was going to succeed long term, and I was right on that. Regarding WWE worst events, like I said, one of the house shows, 2003, I went to one in November. It was actually on my birthday. Terrible show. I'm just not a big fan of the house shows because it's basically just the guys rehearsing and preparing for the pay-per-views or whatever, and they're not going out there and taking any kind of risks. It's a house show after all. You don't want people getting hurt at a house show. Some people like it because there's no storylines. It's just straight up wrestling, and to each his own. There was a house show in 2012 that I went to in Anaheim, which was very boring. We were all falling asleep, and I had actually gone with a friend who got us a suite there, and being in the suite was more entertaining than the show. I'll just leave it at that. Best show would have to be WrestleMania 31, just for the overall atmosphere, doing the tailgating beforehand, the huge crowd, the stadium, just everything about it, the production values. I'd have to say WrestleMania 31, and WrestleMania 22 or 21, excuse me, would be right up there. All right, this one comes from Jamie Clark. Where does Flair versus Steamboat rate among the greatest feuds of all time? Ric Flair has stated that Ricky Steamboat was perhaps his all-time favorite person to work with, and many would say that Flair and Steamboat had one of the best feuds in wrestling history, and Flair would say that their best matches were not even televised. They could just go out there and not rehearse. The two of them just had that chemistry where they could just go out there and just wing it and wrestle for 30, 40 minutes and tear the house down. Flair and Steamboat's definitely one of the all-time great feuds, especially in '89 when they had that trilogy of matches with Steamboat winning the title and then losing it back to Flair. And Flair himself, during Sting's Hall of Fame induction speech, which was supposed to be about Sting, Flair kept mentioning Steamboat. So yeah, Flair and Steamboat, definitely one of the top feuds of the 1980s and really of any era. Alright, that'll wrap it up for this edition of NoDQ&A video. Thanks as always for watching. If you enjoyed today's video, please share it on Facebook, Twitter. Tell a friend about NoDQ&A video. Stay tuned to NoDQ.com for the very latest regarding Extreme Rules, and I will see you guys next time.